Let's create some item banks that you can use with your new quizzes. Now, just to clarify, item banks are for new quizzes, and in Canvas, question banks go along with the classic quizzes. We're going to be diving into all that is item banks and how much easier they can make your quiz creation. And I'm also going to show you a really amazing time saver at the end of this video, so be sure to stick around. Now, the very first thing that I want to show you is the easiest way to get into item banks, and it takes just a quick little setup. So I'm here in my course, and I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of my course navigation on the left. I'm going to click on Settings, and I want to make item banks visible so I can go directly to them. So clicking on Settings, I want to go to Navigation, and item banks is going to live probably down here somewhere. So I found it here. You can either click, hold, and drag it up to your enabled items, or you can click the three dots and then click Enable. Don't forget, I always do this, don't forget to click on Save. Now it is showing up here, but if you do a student preview, it does not show up for your students. So we're going to go through creating an item bank from scratch first. Then we are going to build a quiz with our item banks, and then we're going to learn how to build an item bank from a quiz. And this is going to be including how to group questions and randomize questions and stuff like that. Okay, so we're going to dive right in. Let's click on item banks. I want to start by creating one. So you'll notice that I already have several here. So just to kind of give you the lay of the land, this filter here, this one gives me just this course, and we've got to designate that. I can also do shared with me, and honest to God, I have no idea what most of these are, right? So I don't know why those are shared with me. That's not helpful. And then I also have all of my institutions banks, which apparently there aren't any, but really either shared with this course, that's really helpful, or this course, that one's really helpful. And then under our list here, over on the right-hand side, we've got the option to duplicate some banks. We can change those sharing settings. I can also share here with individual people. Let me click close there. I can edit them or trash them, but we want to create one. So I'm going to click plus blank, and I'm going to call this Angie's item bank. And I do want to click share. This is going to help me find it in the future. Okay, create bank. It's shared with my class. Awesome. Okay, so I don't want shared with me. I want just this class. So this course, so much better. There's Angie's item bank. Now you could click on the pencil over here on the right, but that allows you just to change the name. So I don't want to do that. Instead, I want to click on the name, and this gets me to a blank item bank. Let's add some questions here. So I'm going to click plus new. Now, if you've created new quizzes before, this is exactly the same as creating a new quiz. I've got a video, it's down in the description below on how to do that. But we want to go ahead and create some questions here. I want to start let's keep them kind of simple. Let's do a true-false question. And these are my instructions here. So I'm going to say, Angie is the best teacher. Obviously true. You have your same options that you have with your quiz questions. You can also align it to outcomes, but you can also tag it. These tags are a really cool way of finding questions when you're adding them to your quizzes. So I'm going to put a tag here. This one is easy, and then I've got to create an easy tag. Notice I already have one, but I could say create easy tag. Actually, let's just change this one to difficult. And this one says create a difficult tag. So I'm going to create that tag. You could use tags in so many different ways. You can put multiple tags here, but I'm going to keep it simple. Let's click done and add a second question. So add new, and I'm going to add this time, how about just a essay question? Okay, and then again, like lots of options here, grading notes, align to outcomes, and instead of doing difficult this time, I'm going to unclick that one. I'm going to say that this one is medium. Now I've already created the tag medium, but if you haven't, this right here will say create tag, and I would click on that create tag to get it to populate. Okay, and then done. I'm gonna add just a couple of more questions here. I'm gonna do a multiple choice one as well. I'm going to mark the correct answer here, and then again you could go through these. I do like to shuffle those choices. And then this one's also medium. Oh, I unchecked that, but I'm going to put this one as also medium. Let's go ahead and choose that tag and then hit done. And we could continue adding questions here, but I really want to get to building a quiz with an item bank. So you'll notice up here across the top, this is your breadcrumb trail that you can get back to item banks and then back to your course. Let's get back to the course. I'm just going to click there to get back to my course, and let's create a new quiz. So you can do this through modules, which I'm going to do. You can also do this through quizzes. If you're in modules, you're going to do plus in the module that you want your quiz to live. So I'm going to go plus. I don't want an assignment. I want a quiz here instead. Create quiz. I do want this to be new quizzes. This might not show up for you if you've already set new quizzes as your default. And my quiz name is going to be the Angie quiz. And then you can change all of that as well. Add item. Right now it's blank, so I'm just going to click on the quiz name. I'm not going to worry about any of the settings. This is just a fake quiz. I'm going to go directly to build. And then in build, this is where we're going to link it to our item bank. So I could add some instructions here, which I'm not even spelling right. And then I can add a question. Now there's two different ways that you can add it from an item bank. You can do it by adding an individual question. Let me click done on my instructions. And then I'm going to click this button to add content. Remember, if you want to learn more about building a new quiz from scratch, look for that link down below. I want to add not a new question. I want to add one from my question bank, and that's what this little folder thing is up on the top. So I'm going to click question bank, and I wanted them from this course. Here's that filter that we were talking about that we saw before in our item banks. So this is why I carefully chose where it was going to live. So I want it to live in this course, and I should be able to find it. Yes, there it is, Angie's item bank. I'm going to open it, and I've got some options. I can add these individually by clicking on that plus button, or let me unclick this. If I get rid of each of these, so one, remove question, remove question, remove question, I can also get a randomized group of these questions. So I'm going to do it actually the other way. So again, you can go add and then use that item bank icon, or you can click the item banks up here on the top, this button. So I'm going to click the button this time, but it gets you to the same spot. I'm still in Angie's item bank, but you don't have to be. Up here in this breadcrumb trail, you can go back to item banks, and then you can find any item bank that you want. But I really did still want Angie's item bank. So instead of choosing all of these individually, I'm going to do a group. And I'm going to choose this plus all or random. Notice how it drops something into my quiz. I'm going to click on the X to get out of my item bank. And then let's edit what it's got here. I'm going to click the Angie's item bank. You can also click the pencil here. So clicking the name of this group, Angie's item bank, says, do you want to use all questions or do you want to randomly select questions? I'm going to randomly select. Notice the numbers up here tell me that it's questions 1, 2, and 3. So I want to select 2 questions from this group, and I want them to be, say, maybe 2 points each, and then I will click done. So now if I do a preview, it's going to show that it's giving me 2 questions that are randomly selected out of that group. This is a really great tool if you're having students retake the quiz to get better and better at their content. Let me exit preview. Now we also put those tags in. So let's say that you were adding another question. So you went to item banks and you wanted to add another question here. You could go to this plus filters and you can filter by tag. If I click the down arrow and I'm looking for medium, it will bring up the ones that are designated as a medium question. And then you can click the plus button to add. So many great options here. Now, the other thing that you might want to do is to add from a quiz. Now let's start with already built quizzes and add questions to an item bank. This is also a great way to group questions on a quiz so that students get a random selection out of that group. So you'll notice that some of the rocket ships over here on the left are filled in. Those were built with the new quiz engine, and the ones that aren't filled in were built with the classic quiz engine. I want to use this Unit 3 quiz. I've already built it. I'm just going to open it up and I'm going to skip by all of this and go directly to build. Now you'll notice that we have exactly the same tools that we had before. We've got our item banks here and we can add questions, but we can also edit questions to get them into a bank. As I scroll down, I've got three here at the bottom that are all similar questions. I want students to instead get 2 randomly out of the 3. So I'm going to put these into an item bank. So this is the first multiple choice one. I'm going to click the pencil to edit, and I've got the item bank option at the bottom. So I want to do item banking, add to bank. And I'm going to really carefully, I'm going to do a new item bank. I'm going to really carefully label this so I can find it later. Identify fallacy types. And then I'm going to add it to that question bank. Now I don't just want to add this one to the question bank, I want to add the other 2. But before we do that, and this will help you find them, when it brings up this banked item, Edit in Bank, click on Edit in Bank. You've got your identify fallacy types, you're editing the question. Take a look at that breadcrumb trail. I'm going to back up to identify fallacy types. This is the item bank. And notice how that share with Math 146 for me is not checked. I want to check that so it's easier for me to find. Okay, so we're done with that question. Let me click the X and let's go to the second question. Okay, so that was the first multiple choice. Let's go to this one. I want to edit and I want to add it to, this time I want to add it to a bank, but an existing bank, and that was identify. There it is, identify fallacy types, add. Super easy, right? And I'm going to do done, so it saves that. And I'm going to do that to the last one as well. So click the pencil, and then I'm going to scroll down and item banking, add to bank, existing bank, and I want to go identify. It's really helpful if you label these carefully. You could even label it with the quiz name and then the group. Let me do that one, yes please, and then add. Okay, so all of those are there. I'm going to click done to save that. Now what I want to do is to group these questions. So we're going to add a question group from our item bank. You could either do the plus sign to do that by clicking on the item bank icon, or you can do item banks. So I'm going to do item banks. So I'm going to go all or random, and that's going to create a question group. So let's click the X. It's probably at the bottom. Yes, here it is at the bottom. I'm going to click that name to edit the group, or you can click the pencil. So I'm going to click the name. And it says, do you want to use all questions? No, I want to randomly select. I want to randomly select 2 questions. You can also change the point total, but I'm just going to leave it at 1 point. And then I'm going to click done. So I no longer need these multiple choice questions. Let me trash those. So I'm just going to use the trash can to get rid of those. Remove question. And then remove question, and I've got one more, right? Remove question, remove question. Now new quizzes auto-save, so I don't need to save these as long as I'm clicking done each time I add something new. I am going to preview my tests, and I've got my questions here. Let me go ahead and click next to scroll through, and here are my grouped questions. I've got 1, 2 of those, and then this is the end of the quiz. Let me exit preview. But what if you wanted to edit a question that you added from a question bank? Let's go ahead and add an individual question here. So I'm going to add an individual question from a question bank. Instead of fallacy types, let's do a different question bank this time. And from this course, I'm going to add one from Angie's item bank. And it brings up all of those questions, and I am going to add this essay question here. Click the X once it's in there. So this says describe all the things that you love about Angie, but I want to edit it and just change that a little bit. When I click the edit button, it says this is a banked item. if you change it, it will change it in the item bank and anywhere that this question maybe lives. So you've got two choices. You can either edit it in the bank, which will change it for everything. Instead of all the things, I could say 3 things, and that would change it for every occurrence of this question. And then click the X. But if I didn't want to do that, let's see, if I refresh my page, it changes that to the 3 things. But let's say that I really just wanted to edit it in this instance. To do that, you need to create a copy. So I'm going to duplicate this question, and it creates the copy down below there. And I am going to get rid of the original question so I don't mess this up. So I'm going to click delete to remove that question. It still lives in that bank. Now I can edit this one as much as I want. Let me click done. Now I promised you that I would show you a really amazing time saver. Let's get to that now. Now I get to show you the really great way of building these quiz questions. There are multiple ways to do this, and if you're using, say, Pearson or some kind of a textbook, they will often give you item banks or quiz banks that you can use, question banks. But I want to show you how to do this with ChatGPT. So I'm going to just go over to ChatGPT. I am cheap, so I do not pay for ChatGPT. And I'm going to ask it to create a quiz based on my syllabus. So I'm going to add my syllabus here, photos and files. And I'm going to add the PDF here of my syllabus and then click open. So ChatGPT has that, and I'm going to say create a 5-question quiz for my Canvas course using the info on my syllabus. Now you can get more specific. I'm just going to leave it general, and then I'm going to ask it to create that. And it's already come up with a great quiz. Now you can take each of these questions and type them into an item bank or directly into a quiz. Or if you keep going down here to the bottom, it says, would you like me to create a QTI file based on this? And I'm going to say, yes, create a QTI file for this quiz. Now it'll take several minutes, so you've got to be a little bit patient, especially if you've got several different questions. This QTI.zip is supported for classic quizzes, and I'm going to show you in my next video how to get this not just into classic quizzes as a question bank, but also how to get it into new quizzes. Take a look at this video here.